let's jump into Path of Exile. I wanted to say Path of Exile 2. We're gonna watch that trailer in a bit. Should we watch that first? Now we're gonna watch this in a bit. Okay, good. Early access date announcement, trailers. We're gonna watch it afterwards. But first, let's talk about what I did the past week. I leveled a tri-stack hexer, which didn't even get close to stacking anything beside deaths. It stacked so many deaths. My goodness gracious. This build is rough. It is very, 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 very rough. So it is still Penance brand, and I took out a lot of items here, so ignore the items. I won't even play it. So multiple things. I followed Captain Lance's build guide, League Starter. It was really nice. It was very interesting finally playing Energy Blade, because I have never done that before. And I very much appreciate Captain Lance's build guide. But ultimately, that has nothing to do with him. That has something to do with me. I would not want to play this build the way it is right now, with minimum gear and do Sanctum all the time. It feels god-awful, and I died so many times. I have died a bunch of times in Sanctum in total. It just is not good, in my opinion. Not saying that the build is bad, it's just I personally do not want to play this build and go through Sanctum. It just, no. Personally, I would not want to league start this, then play Sanctum all day and work my way up to, you know, the end game version of this, which is a Hex Blast of Dissipation, or no, Hex Blast of whatever the heck it's called, and you know, go into all that. I would not be able to do it. It just does not feel good. For me, Sanctum is only good when you have stupid amount of damage and you literally look at the enemy and it's gone in a split second. That's when Sanctum becomes fun. Also, speed. This build has no speed. I absolutely hate it. That just personally, I'm not a fan of, like, oh yeah, let me just jump everywhere. I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. I personally want to move fast, not use movement speed to be fast, because that's like a click, a click, a click, a click, a click, a click every single time. That is not enjoyable to me. Yeah, that's just like the TLDR of this. I can maybe imagine this becoming quite fun as time goes on. It's still fun to play Penance Brand of Dissipation. That the skill is quite fun. So for people who don't know, where can I briefly show this? Probably in Desecrated Chambers. So enemies might not insta die. They probably still do. So yeah, now you have to, like, you pretty much just click on this. They have a pretty big brand attachment range, which is really neat, and then they charge up different. The Penance brand charges up certain charges, and it then explodes and becomes stronger and stronger. So it's really good for single target, and you need pretty good single target or great single target for Sanctum. And still, it's just like, it just doesn't do it for me, because yeah, again, you know, damage just isn't big enough to make Sanctum feel good. And I tried to follow Captain Lance's guide in, well, you go with all these items, you know, like, you take this, so you take this, then you take the Calm's Roots, you know, so you can't be slowed anymore, and all that jazz, and have big life and all that, and Energy Blade. I even bought Ivory Tower, like, way before, and also used Ghost Wraith before that, and it just doesn't work. It just really doesn't work. It just doesn't feel good to play, and I can't even get myself to play the Hex Blast. minor version of this. I did get the whole, the traitor, which I also don't like. I don't like having to press the things. I think that's how you usually do it. Like, you have used at the end of the charge or something, so you don't have it used when charges reach full. You have it the other way around. So every single room you enter in the Sanctum, you have to press this, and then the traitor, you know, which is this thing, gives you enough flask charges so they continue on over and over and over, right? So they never stop, or at least, hopefully, never stop. So I also don't like that, because I personally am not a fan of having to go into a map and having to press like a bunch of buttons and then start mapping. I just want to start mapping, you know what I mean? The same with like, oh, you go into a map and have to press Corrupted Blood and then you can start mapping. Not just use it, bro, right? That's just not my types of builds. Hey, X-Fact, how you doing? So yeah, TLDR. Still very interesting, still very fun. Love Energy Blade. I really want to try more builds with Energy Blade, but this specifically, good trying to make cash. What? Okay. Yeah, TLDR, this is not really for me as it is right now. Oh, currency, not dollars. Got it. Yeah. I can see myself, maybe, if I really have the cash, as a second build. If I'm like, okay, I'm done with mapping, I'm done with my entire atlas, right? I want to do something else. I can see myself swapping over to this build and then just saying, you know what? Let me just throw 50 diffs on this build and then just go into Sanctum and live there. I can totally see that. But I cannot see myself doing this as a league starter, personally. So there is that. If you ever wondered about that, or about myself. So yeah, not really a huge fan of that. Also, because you're low life, my goodness gracious, I died a lot. Why is it white? It's Energy Blade. So yeah. Still, highly recommend trying out Energy Blade at some point. It was something I've never tried, and I did think you start using it a little bit later during the story. Just follow Captain Lance's build guide. He knows a lot about Energy Blade. But yeah, ultimately, I would not be able to go through Sanctum with like minimal, like bad DPS, objectively bad DPS, and slowly work my way up. Still, I have to say, even if you, let us say you play this build, let us say you are fine with low DPS, you're just a god gamer, you go through the Sanctum. You will make currency. I made the vines in eye level 68 Sanctums. And as he says in his video, you can probably get like Sanctum, like Forbidden Sanctums for like 3 to 5C at league start. I can definitely see that. Maybe a little bit more nowadays, maybe it's 10C or something, but you will make that currency back, especially if you get like one divine, you're good, right? So if you're okay with like a very slow Sanctum runner at the beginning, and you snowball yourself into bigger and bigger things, this might be the build for you. So I can definitely say that. Never tried Sanctum after the league. That's fair. There's so much stuff. Yeah. That was I think that was probably at the beginning of the league, beginning of the week, I tried this build. Didn't really work for me. Maybe I'm gonna do something else with Inquisitor. It was really nice. It's a really nice ascendancy though, right? I really like that. But yeah, with low DPS and trying to do Sanctum, it just feels really bad. Also, low movement speed is something I don't prefer in my Sanctum at all. Like, and no, movement speed skills are still bad. But need to pick a good DPS build. Yeah. And then, as you can see, this one is leveled a little bit higher. Daniel, I'm a finna int. Yes, I'm very good with names. So, if you're like, wait, int, is this an int stacker? Yep, it is. So, to make this kind of short, because I do want to play Diablo 4 after this. because it is a free weekend, and I want to try it for the very first time. This build is very different from what I usually play. By the way, I have not even cosmetics on, because who cares? I'm just gaming, you know. I don't need cosmetics. I don't need to look pretty. I'm gaming right now. Also, I think I have phasing, so I can't even see my character, right? If I go through the world like this, I can't see myself. Coombs, Anif, I swear to God. Wanna see how good I am with my names? No. I can't see anything. Not through the chat, at least. So, this started off, and I think I actually have, yes, I actually have footage of this. So I played the TLDRs. I followed Jungreon's Locust Mine Leak Starter. Locust Mine Power Siphon, whatever it's called. And I actually did a leak start. I did not use any gear. I did not use any currency from my stash. I literally just picked up stuff, went through the story, and did that. Kick W. Nice. This was the Kitava kill, by the way. Okay. That was the Kitava kill. So that was a bit too fast. Look at the damage I do, and this is leak start, by the way. It's dead. That was pretty darn good DPS. I'm gonna show it one more time. Look at the heart at that right. Pretty darn good. I have to say that. It's pretty darn good DPS for a brand new league start for Power Siphon Locust Mine. And this is when I kind of knew I might be onto something. It's definitely not deathless. I can guarantee you that. You will die. You will die a lot with this build. It's not like you're super tanky. Oh, sorry, slash deaths. 103 times, so rip that. In 23 hours, so not even like 4 hours. I think, by the way, I think the leak start was close to 7 hours. I think it was 6 hours and 45 minutes to go through the story with Locust Mine Power Siphon. It felt good. It felt nice. It had a little bit of like, you know, low elemental res and all the jazz, and I was like, who cares? And I continued to go through the maps as if I would get the maps naturally. Not 100% true, because I did use the Atlas skill tree like fully juiced up, so technically the maps were more difficult. But somehow, going from leak start gear into juiced up rare tier 4 maps somehow was possible with this build. And I'm like, wait, what the heck is happening? This build can handle juiced up tier 4 maps at leak start. And I think it was level 69 or something. I don't know. Nice. So it's incredibly powerful, I have to say. And I might start this next league. The thing is, though, as I leveled more, right, I continued leveling, at some point I decided to switch over and say, okay, I do want to experience this build. I don't want to, like, sit around anymore and level slowly as if it would be a league start. Let's actually gear up, right? So I bought some items, I crafted some things, I spent a lot of Chaos Orbs. My gear is still trash, right? It's still not good. This is, for example, awful. Also not good. I think I have this since, like, yeah, item level 72, since, like, way too long. Not even corrupted yet. But then at some point, playing Locust Mine, I realized, goddamn, I hate Toxic Sewer with this. Because you throw Locust Mines, which I can't show you right now, you throw the Locust Mines in a in front of you, but one directly where your mouse is. So if you look at me, if I point to the waypoint, one throws at the waypoint, and the other two throws into an angle away from me. This is pretty cool if you have a big open area like glacier, dunes, strand, stuff like this. You are absolutely screwed in toxic sewer and anything with a door. And I love running toxic sewer, that's my jazz. So it became quite the problem having to go through toxic sewer, go into a room with a lot of magic mobs. I only throw one mine in, and TLDR, by the way, Power Siphon shoots up to 8 targets. I think technically 7 before that, because I got a 21 Power Siphon. So one mine explodes because it goes through the door. The other 2 get stuck at the wall and hit nothing. And then it hits like 7 targets, but there are like 50 to 70 mobs in that room, right? TLDR, I die a lot. But I noticed it had some good damage. It felt pretty nice. And I love that this has, like, Power Siphon is goddamn insane if you think about it. It fires a projectile at up to 8 targets. Okay, so it literally homes onto enemies. It has auto-aim. And it has Culling Strike built in. It's an absolute, like, ridiculous skill. Like, if you actually read it, you're like, wait, what the heck is going on right now? And it works great with Locust Mine, especially in a big area, right? If you have Glacier and a lot of mobs and you throw 3 mines, which can shoot up to 8 targets each, that's a lot of monsters you can target. And then, if you, as Jangron took, you also have projectiles pierce 2 additional targets. So technically you shoot you shoot up to 32 projectiles, and it can pierce 2 additional targets. That's a lot of mobs you can technically hit with 1 projectile, right? Or just 1 throw of mines. It's actually insane. And I love it. That made it just feel really good. And I continued leveling it and playing it. And at some point, because I had the cash here, I think I had like literally 99 divines. And I was like, okay, let me try this out. Let me, bite the bullet or whatever it's called. Let me buy just the item to make in-stacking possible, right? So you need items like this. So you have lightning damage to attacks with this weapon per 10 intelligence. And I didn't have this much intelligence, right? I had, I think, way lower. I was way dumber, IRL and in the game. And it still felt fine. It didn't feel good yet because I didn't have attack speed. So I needed to get some attack speed. I think I also switched here to get more attack speed here, which made it feel even better. You get some, I think, attack speed here, which also makes it feel better. And over time, as I now went to Instacker and got some more int and swapped the entire tree around, and also finally got some int gear, also some int rings, and then lately also just put on the Headhunter because I had it. But even before the Headhunter, it felt good. And something I've never experienced, because I've never played a build like this before, was evasion and energy shield is a really sick combo. I've never had the feeling, by the way, my resistances are awful. I just accept it at this point. But it was kind of insane, still feeling kind of tanky, because I had, before I swapped to CI, which is probably too early at this point, let's be honest, I had this feeling of, I have to be somewhat melee range, because Power Siphon only works up to a certain distance, so you have to be quite close to the enemy. So you can't play it like a lightning arrow build. But because I have energy shield and life and suppress and high evasion, I barely get hit. If I get hit, well, it gets taken away from my energy shield, which I instantly leech back because I have energy leech, which isn't even fully leveled yet. So it just felt incredibly tanky, and a feeling, and I've never had that feeling in a build before, where I felt like I could stand next to the enemy and not be incredibly scared of the enemy, right? I've never had that with any build before, because usually I play like zoomer builds, like Deadeye, Lightning Arrow Deadeye, and you want to be as far away from the enemy, partially because that's how you scale the damage as well, right? The further projectiles travel, the more damage they get, usually. Well, depends on if you scale it differently. But you're also not really tanky. But this build had like the evasion, the suppress spell damage, energy shield, and the leech to just sustain damage, which was super interesting. And of course, the more damage I do, the more I can leech, the better my sustain is. That still doesn't mean I don't die. Hell yeah, I do. Because I'm not quite sure how to solve this, or if it's just something you have to accept a bit. Because your energy shield, I might need to also take the whole 50% of your energy shield is added to your stun threshold. So I feel that I'm getting stunned, and that feels a bit bad. I think this is partially solved with a flask that has the avoid stun chance. And then, of course, long-term Mage Blood, which I might get. Yeah, let's briefly show this off. I have switched to Each of Worlds now. Partially to... Well, the thing is, this build has changed how I think of builds in general. Because previously, I wanted to go fast, right? I wanted to go fast and blast and go, go, go. But with this build, I don't mind going a little bit slower because I just feel safe, right? I just feel comfortable, like, walking through the map. It auto-aims for me, this skill, and it just feels comfortable. And that is worth a lot. Hi, Insect. So, yeah. I'm super happy with this build. It's far from, like... Oh, by the way, let's not take any... let's not take any shrines for this, but you know, shrines are really fun. It's like a baby mage blood, you know? It's a baby mage blood that you can get very easily. One thing I have to be a little bit careful about is, of course, not taking the... Oopsie, sorry, my bad. Sorry, I clicked it again. Force of habit. Is the Alta shoots in random directions, right? That sucks a little bit. I have to be careful not to take that. But again, I don't mind that I have to now read Altas, which long-term will give me more rarity and quantity, because I just feel safe, right? I can just stand here, chill, just probably die now, maybe, but I have energy shield.
Mr. Insect asked me, what is Daniel's favorite game? Well, considering Daniel BR93's love for all things pixelated and action-packed, I bet their favorite game is something like a Metroidvania or maybe even a roguelite. I mean, who doesn't love dying repeatedly in a game?
Yes.
Just to get that sweet power up.
Yes.
Maybe they're secretly in love.
Oh my god, please
with
talk
great
faster.
games too, like Overcooked. But in all seriousness, I think we just need to ask them directly. Right.
Thank you. Okay, cool. Very nice. Where was I? I completely forgot about that. But yeah, overall, very smooth build, very nice. And Instacker might become my new favorite thing. I don't know. I've never experienced like a build that is somewhat tanky, can get hit, has nice leech. I don't know. It's just like... It just feels so comfy to play. And I think the biggest thing is also it just auto-aims, right? Which is something I want in more games because, you know, maybe I'm super lazy. I'm definitely lazy when it comes to this. But it's just really nice just, you know, stuff auto-aiming for me. That's that. You know? Might feel a little bit boring to some because there is no, like, real involvement in combat, right? But, like... I think that's just like long-term. Like, keep in mind, this is not cheap. Like, this wand alone costed me 78 divines. 78. And I was so hesitant swapping to Instacker because I kind of don't like the builds where you have to throw in like double-digit divines. And now it starts being fun, right? I don't like that. That's why I'm also hesitant about Sanctum runners, because you need quite the investment to make them feel good, in my opinion. See the tri-stack hexer that I just showed off, or couldn't even show off because I didn't even play it that long. But this build felt good from... When did I start? I think I did Rolling Magma until 31. I followed Jungron's build, as mentioned. And I think at 31, I switched to Locust Mine and Power Siphon. And I think I had a 3-link or maybe a 4-link. And it just felt okay. And then it got better and better and stronger and faster. And I was like, huh, this feels good. And then I got into maps and it felt even better and stronger. And at some point I was like, could I imagine myself farming endgame and doing my Void Stones on a league start with this build as like Locust Mine, like Power Siphon Miner? And I was like, yeah, I think I could. Will it be the fastest? No. Will it be the easiest? Probably not. But I can see it. And... I want builds that long-term can reach insane levels of gear, right? And power. And with Power Siphon Miner, and I'm already a Trickster, right? So I can just swap over to Instacker. And boy, you can put a lot of, like, currency into Instacker and make that like a god-tier build. So, yeah. I will play a lot more with this over the next week and see what happens, see how far I can go, see what stuff I can do. And yes, this build right now, with Headhunter, technically, kind of comfortably did T17s. I did die, to be honest. But I also went a little bit slower, because I'm not quite sure how fast I can move with this build. Because it's not like Lightning Arrow Deadeye, where you can just shoot somewhere around the area, and with enough damage and chain range, you just kill everything on screen anyways. But this build, you have to play a little bit differently. Because Power Siphon only targets enemies around you, right? I think it's maybe... I don't know how big the area is. It feels like maybe... It doesn't go, I think... No, I think it might actually be top and bottom of the screen... And maybe like left and right. So maybe it's like a full 60. Like it's probably this range, roughly. I think it's a little bit less on left and right. But it's like a pretty big circle around you where you target. But you still have to be somewhat close. So you can't just, you know, cheese it and shoot the enemy from really far away. That doesn't really work with this build. But other than that... It's just super comfy. We're gonna do one more map. Oh, by the way, I have Shrines, Elder, because I think that's like the gold strat, and gold is pretty good. I have now the that one, so I can drop more maps, specifically tier 17s, hopefully, and increase magic pack size, because why not? We can maybe add another shrine, and then a shrine here, and again, Eater of Worlds. By the way, for people who don't, that's pretty much, I think that's pretty much everyone's tree at this point, am I right? Like, pretty much, maybe. It's like, also, but how are you doing, Dennis? Sorry. I saw you and didn't say hi. We can do, so, for example, if I now, let's say I take the shrines, right? So I take this, and I just walk through. It's not as fast as of course, Deadeye, because Deadeye has Tailwind and all that jazz. But I also don't have boots that give me movement speed if I haven't been hit. So that could be an upgrade that I could, for example, get as time goes on. I could maybe spend that money there. Oh, we have an altar. Sure, I can maybe take that. As mentioned, I don't want the thing that shoots projectiles in random directions. That usually messes up this build pretty badly, because it stops homing completely. Feels pretty bad. Again, I just stand here. That's fine. If I wanted to, I can maybe use Berserk. I think I now took that Rage on hit off as an Eldritch Implicit. I could, for example, maybe do this. Stand here, shoot that thing. There we go. And this was absolutely fine before Headhunter, by the way. So Headhunter is not necessary. Here you go. This is now with, like, if you want to go zoom, this is now with an acceleration shrine. So you just go literally zoom. And again, because you don't even have to aim, because everything is auto-aim, it feels really comfy, really nice. I don't have Val Power Siphon. I might get that at some point. Yeah. Enemies, there we go. Oh, some more. Some more. Oh, see, now it shoots in random directions, I think. So now it feels a little bit off. It feels a little bit strange. I think this is less of an issue if you have a lot of projectiles as time goes on. But if you don't have a lot of projectiles, yeah, it can feel a little bit strange. Yeah, because I'm kind of tanky. I might get actual one-shot by some enemies, but yeah, I can just stand here and just pretty much chill with this guy. Maybe I can use this. That, of course, gives me more damage because of Sigil of Power. Yeah. It just feels so comfy. Just, I've never had this experience where a build isn't, like, stressful like Deadeye, where you want to go really fast and be like... you're breathing constantly, and like enemies are like on your ass, and you're like, oh my god, I'm dead. And this just feels super comfy with evasion, energy shield, suppress, and I'm just chill, you know. And because it auto aims, I don't even have to think where I want to shoot, which I really appreciated with Tornado Shot. But then, you know, they kind of nerfed it, which is fair because it was a pretty strong skill. It was a really strong skill. And then they buffed Power Siphon this league, which makes no sense. I also don't 100% know, to be honest, let's actually try this out. I don't know how big the difference is when it comes to... That's decent single target. I think, by the way, DPS is around 2 million only, maybe 3 million now, which is far from a lot, but definitely fine for, you know, mapping and zooming a little bit. And I can imagine if you maybe swap to a Scuffed Instacker early on, you could, I think Oriath's End helps a little bit. I think it's also quite cheap nowadays. Yeah, it's 2 Divine, so I think Instack is pretty good to have nowadays. Thankfully, it's cheap. Is right here, because I think you take 1, 2, 3, 4. You take those points early on with Locust Mine. You could technically swap to Instacker, like a scuffed version. So maybe you say, screw Headhunter, screw Oriath's End, let me get just this wand so I can start building on this character. And then you just get an Inspired Learning here. For the meantime, right? Until you can get that Headhunter. But I think an Inspired Learning is pretty good at this spot. I mean, it's a very known spot to be good, but you already take life. You already take this as a Locust Mine, like Locust Mine Power Siphon thingy. You have Power Charge, because you want that, of course. You have the mana thing here, and the mana res, which then you swap over to here. So, I can see at League Start just slapping that Inspired Learning. The thing is, though, which I kind of dislike, but that's just how balancing works in this game, is two things. I don't think Inspired Learning works with Locust Mine, because I'm pretty sure it says when you kill an enemy, and same with Orief's End, it says enemies you kill. But when a mine kills it, it technically isn't you. So that's why you can't really use it before. So it has to happen after you swap to manually casting your Power Siphon. But again, Locust Mine totally works. I can see League starting it. It might not be the fastest. It might not be the smoothest. But single target DPS is pretty darn good. Like, I think I had 7 million... yes, I think around 7 million DPS with Arcanist Brand and Flame Wall and Punishment on it. I think I also had Sniper's Mark on him. Yes, I think I had Sniper's Mark on him, so you have to also take this here. So you can apply Punishment and Sniper's Mark at the same time, right? So you have two curses. But again, for a League start, you kind of want to go more single target, get those Void Stones, and after that you can start blasting, right? You know, I started blasting at that point. Yeah. I'm really happy with this. I don't know what to say. I was like, all right, boys, in Stacker for the second time, let's try this. And it just started to be better and better and better. And there were like growing pains, as in you kind of need the action speed or it feels a little bit bad. I also noticed, because you now don't use mines anymore, you don't have frenzy charge generation, so I felt that. Because I had this here and didn't swap over, and I was like, wait a second, I don't even have frenzy charges. Alright, I don't use mines anymore, which generated those frenzy charges for me. But it's really comfy early on, right? You have all the power charge generation, you have the frenzy charge generation, and when you go into the end game, like mapping, you can have the gain endurance charges every 15 seconds. And if you have this still, let's imagine you still have this, you have 200% increased charge duration. That means, I think, one endurance charge that you get lasts 28 seconds. So you will have more charges as time goes on through a map. So the map becomes easier, right? That's just really nice passive thing that you can just have. So you're like, oh sweet, let me just get some frenzy, like endurance charges to, well, endure this map. Yeah. Very happy with this. Very, very happy. I will blast more, see how far I can go, because technically you get another large cluster jewel here. By the way, this one is really bad. This one is really bad. I just wanted a basic large cluster jewel. I think this was 4 divines. I think this was 4 divines, right? It doesn't have good stats. So for example, all attributes can be higher. The intelligence can go, I think, up to 7 or 8. And of course, everything matters at that point, right? You try to squeeze out every little single int attribute. So I don't know if 1158 is average. I don't even know. But yeah, that's the fun part about this build, right? It just keeps on becoming better with every single gear. And I saw some gear, right? If you want to go big PP, you just get a Mage Blood and you're an absolute god in Zoom. Long term, this league, you could get the Haunted Tormented Spirits enchantment. Then you're zooming even more. And you're an absolute god. A god of gods. And then you could get that really, really huge ring. And then get Kalandra's Touch. So it's mirrored. And I think is it a Simplex amulet? I'm pretty sure it's a Simplex amulet that you can get, but I just got this one because, you know, it had good stats. It's, of course, I think it's, this one was probably from the reflecting mist or reflective mist. And I just went on trade and said, I want 120 minimum intelligence on my amulet and some maximum energy shield. Please search. And I think I found this one for 1 div, which is like pretty darn good, I think. Yeah. I'm also not quite sure if I need the Lethal Pride. No, I don't even need it for the strength, but I do have it for the double, like 2 times double damage, which I think this was also just a div, right? Like the big thing in this build so far was literally just the wand that makes everything happen, right? Without this wand, well, you can't really stack anything. You could maybe, before you jump into this wand, I think there are rings that have, oh god, what do they have? Spell damage. No, there's spell damage per power charge. Yeah. But that doesn't really help you. That's more of a power charge stack, which you're partially both. Speaking of both, I could get a really big Crown of the Inward Eye, alright? Like if I wanted to have a very big upgrade. So, for example, let's say I want to put more investment into this. Well, first of all, I can maybe get an Awakened Elemental Damage. That's 7, 7.5, 7.4 Divine, so that's that. If I say, you know what, give me another power charge, well, there you go, 12 Divines for this Crown of the Inward Eye. Maybe a little bit more, 14, 15 with like good or better stats. If I want to get another large cluster jewel, well, that's 2 Divines, but this is like the cheap one. Like if you want to get a really big one, I'm pretty sure. Let's scroll down a little bit until we find one with maximum energy shield. If we can find one. Nope. We also don't want with any other stats, of course. Right, we don't want these nodes. Let's see if we find one. Or should we just search one? Ah, there it is. So 20 divines for one that gives me maximum energy shield, which I obviously want. So 20 divines per large cluster at the minimum, right? And if you would then say, no, give me the best intelligence node, well, that's 9 divines and everything else sucks. So there's that. And then it starts getting very expensive. Like, for example, this one is really nice. That's 49... Sorry, let me zoom in a little bit. Sorry for that. 49 divines for 8 intelligence, 2 all attributes, which isn't even that good, and 11 maximum energy shield. That's a really great large cluster jewel. But it's 49 divines. So if I really wanted to put more like juice into this build, there are ways, which is awesome. Then I think I want to get a Val Power Siphon, which is 2120. That's another 16 divines. I think this won't really give me more damage, but I think having a Val skill that just pretty much auto-aims at enemies, right? It's just really comfortable. It's just really comfortable. I think that's the reason why I like Val Lightning Strike a lot. Because it's just like a thing you put on the ground, kind of like a mine that just shoots out projectiles. I really like that. And what else do we have? Right, of course, long-term a Mage Blood, which is plus minus 300 divines. So there is a lot you can really give this build. Like, there's more and more and more and more. Yeah. Will be interesting. Will be interesting. I will see what I can do, I guess. What I play next week. But yeah, this might become my new favorite build, because it just feels very comfy. Mostly because of it has built-in Culling Strike. It auto-aims at enemies. Its evasion, suppress spell damage, and energy shield. What else? Yeah, I think that's pretty much the biggest thing. Well, and long-term, because it's an instacker, you can just pour more divines into this build, and it actually feels like stuff is happening. And this is even the minimum, right? Getting this one is the minimum, because I think there are ones that are stupidly expensive. I mean, this was already 78 divines. But I think there are ones that have spell damage per intelligence. so it's 2 synthesized implicits, which is like, okay, cool. And there are rings that have increased, I think it's 7% or 8% increased intelligence as a synthesized implicit on top of a maximum power charge. And then you can mirror this with a Calandr's Touch. So it's like the sky is the limit, literally. So, of course, and then a Simplex Amulet, which probably costs you a mirror anyways. Which I'll never get to, probably. But hey, you know, if the build continues to feel tankier, and I don't die, and I'm still 94, by the way. So there's like 6 more skill points I can get. But of course, it can feel a little bit weak depending on the map modifiers, because I have like negative res. Oh, sorry, by the way. I have like negative res. But yeah, you can just get so much more power on rings, on wands, on... I have attack speed here, but technically what you want is rage. Gain 2 rage per hit, but I was a little bit lazy to do that right now. And again, that's a lot of... that's very expensive if you wanted to do that. Because I think you need the exceptional Eldritch... What is it? Eldritch Ember. Yeah, I think those are like 70C each. So that's another like 17 divines you spend to just get the implicit, maybe. Who knows? I might get better boots. I think I bought this space and then just slammed... I think I just slammed the movement speed essence on it. And at some point I just hit this and I was like, okay, I accept it, right? It had like... It's nothing special, right? It's okay. Yeah. But I might get the boots that have movement speed, and movement speed if you haven't been hit. I think I had that very early on my Deadeye character. That was really nice, because I think you get then 28 movement speed, plus 12, plus 6 on the implicit. That's a lot of movement speed on one item. That's a lot. It's quite a lot. One other thing that I'm not quite sure if I want this, but might be good. I saw someone have the Atsiris... Is it Atsiris Reflection? Let me check this real quick. Oopsie. Let me check this real quick. I think it was Atsiris Reflection. Oopsie. Was it this one? Yeah, I saw someone have this item as well. As a shield. I mean, it has great evasion, great energy shield, and this is not even the highest. It already has intelligence on it, so that's awesome. Unaffected by curses. That's pretty cool. But yeah, it's around 6 divines. Could be worth. Also has some elemental res, but I would probably... If I say I want a really good one, let's imagine I want a really good one. Wait, let me switch to this again, so it's better readable. Let's say I want to go ham. I probably want one with like max intelligence, right? Easy. And if I also say I want at least, let's say, 28 elemental res, that's 35 divs. I mean, and that's not even like at this point. I mean, this is pretty darn good. It also has 188. Well, it could be a little bit higher. What if I actually want now to go max energy shield? Yeah, it's 50 divs. So that's like pretty much the best one you can have. Yeah. Also, increased effect of your curses is cool because you can also have. Because I have Sniper's Mark on hit, which is also so good with this build, because if you play as a miner, you couldn't have Mark on hit because you don't hit stuff, right? The mines hit stuff. So that was really cool. No, I'm not recording for YouTube. No, I'm just pretty much streaming, just explaining the build. Hey, yo, Need for Steve Underground. Let's go. What an absolute giga chat. Bro, he's at 15,000 depth. What a giga chat. Yeah. Love the build. Love it. Speaking of, hold up, let me... There you go. Oh yeah, I think my Kingsmarch is ready. Okay, let's quickly check Kingsmarch and then we're gonna jump into D4 because it's free-to-play weekend. I haven't played the game. I will not buy the game. Very likely. But I want to try it out. Okay, I'm not gonna rescue, guys. One Exalt. Okay, that's kind of nice. Kind of nice. Okay, I'm definitely getting a little bit less. So recently I go for a Kalguur, and I think I put around 2,500 or 5,000 in. This is not enough in my opinion. I don't get a Divine anymore, so I need to put more in. Yeah, I think it's like around 1 million. I think you want around 1 million. Yeah. Sending shipments is disallowed. Oh, right, yeah, because of this. Oopsie. Should we do the... Sure, we can rescue him. Sure, let's go rescue them. Hello. Let me just put all my gear away. Oh, sorry, hold up. My bad, my bad, my bad. Also, no one buys my toxic sewer maps, which is kind of sad. So let's quickly do this, and then we're gonna jump into D4. I have to be careful with this.
Paid the ransom. Run you through. Sick.
Again, single target isn't like crazy good. And I have to be careful with the water.
You washed away. Face the wrath of the sea.
So I have to be a little bit... Holy heck, it's lagging crazy. Wait, is the stream lagging? Holy mother of God, is the stream lagging? Ah! Well, that fixes that. I looked at OBS, bro. Oh my God, this scene lags my PC so hard. Why? Oh, that sucks. Even if I turned global illumination off. Sigh, so laggy. Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, rip my entire crew. Goodbye, guys. Rip that crew. Well, there you go. Rip that. Oh well. Happens. Oopsie. It do be like this. It do be like this.
Off they go.
Oh well. There you go. Oopsie. Oh. Not what I wanted. There we go. I'll select port. Kalguur. Right. Well, gotta get a new crew for the second time. Sedge. Doesn't really matter, to be honest. I'm fine with, like, the town being more passive, not active, right? So, for example, I ignored the mappers at this point. They're like, they don't even exist anymore for me. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I don't need that. All right. Well, that's cool. That's cool. I really enjoy this. Really enjoy this new build. I've never thought that I would become a Power Siphon in-stacker enjoyer, but it's like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because they changed it. Maybe that's why. Good.